If the president was able to say, all right, we're eliminating property taxes, not just on owner occupied, on all properties, would you support that?
That's a difficult question because it's like who is not getting funded, right? Like Mitch mentioned schools. Like I certainly don't like to overpay taxes.
Gun to your head. You got 5 seconds, Travis.
Well, I mean, obviously the selfish piece of shit capitalist in me, yes, because if my expense line goes down, my net operating line goes up, apply a multiple, and then the value of my real estate goes up.
Travis is a yes. Right? Mitch, you got an extra 10 seconds because Travis was explaining himself.
Without all the variables, I'd say no. Because the problem is you've got to understand what property taxes fund. We need to understand what are the implications of that, where those funds come from. Like schools is one thing that's really important in our country. In fact, we don't even fund our schools enough. You've got schools throughout the entire country that are in dismay. So if we had a solution for that and I understood sort of the downhill effect, then I would be a yes, but I don't understand that. I mean, if you think about it, if property taxes went away, I think you would see an entirely new basis. In other words, a huge price jump in everything. Everything would just level up to a new plateau because you're taking away a massive expense line. So
I was going to qualify my answer with that, but we need to understand the downside, but I got interrupted. You got interrupted. Now you make me look like the asshole. So thanks, Mitch. You've got this self-proclaimed socialist talking about rent freezes in New York. Like, what do you think about that? What do you think about this guy coming in and saying enough's enough? It's not fair that this guy graduated from college with this illustrious, social studies degree and can't live in New York and afford the $4,000 rent for his little apartment box. And so we should freeze rents. Is that okay?
No, it is fair because it's supply and demand. And what you get paid in this country is based on your economic impact.
So what's fair? Freezing rents and being a socialist, or not freezing rents and letting the free market be the free market?
Letting the free market. I feel like we should...
You're saying the opposite as well.
No. The free market.
Damn, you fucking communist. What are you talking about?
Where did Mitch go?
No.
Mitch is a communist.
No, the free market has to... If you let the free market go and you actually cut red tape and let developers do what they do and real estate investors do what they do, we'll fix the housing problem. But when you have a country where you've got to apply for permits and soft costs are $250,000 and zoning laws everywhere, affordable housing is illegal in our country. It's not even illegal.
Well, so here's what happens though when they freeze rents. Investors flee. Like, I'm not going to go buy any real estate anywhere near New York. Or why would if rents are frozen, like there's this Pennsylvania law where they're looking at, for mobile home parks, rents can only go up 4% a year. And people think like, yeah, but you think about that, investors are going to flee. They're not going to put any capital into these properties. These properties are going to go blighted. They're going to get run down. They're going to fall down. And there's going to be safety and health hazards. And then everybody's going to blame the landlords for being slumlords. And the landlord's like, I have no incentive to invest in these properties. I have no investment. There's no incentive to come in and make these properties better because I can't get a return.
It's funny because the liberal agenda is really attractive because it's free this and free that and cut that and decrease rents and all those things until you know how the world works. And then you realize it just doesn't work.
I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about affordability. So I'm seeing some interesting things. We all own mobile home parks. I was up against a situation where I had a small town say, hey, you can't bring in RVs. And now I'm seeing another situation where some of these local municipalities are really cracking down on any kind of RVs. And to me, it literally solves a problem for affordability. And I know that a lot of these local governments don't love mobile home parks. They want something developed. They want more tax revenue. But I'm wondering if you guys are seeing that as well. So small town in Oregon, we got note recently, they're saying, and these RVs have been there 20 plus years, some of as RVs.
I thought this was your park up in Idaho. Is it in Oregon?
No,
just across the border.
Okay. Both. This is two different situations. I'm just starting to see these local governments crack down specifically. So yes, one is in Idaho, one's in Oregon, but cracking down on any RVs being allowed in mobile home parks, which I find very interesting because it literally solves the affordability play.
We're living in such there's so many hypocrites. We saw it in our local town, just the mobile home park itself. Everybody at the cocktail party, they pat themselves on the back and they're all about, we need affordable housing. Well, right, John, we absolutely need affordable housing. John, I'm sure glad you brought that up. I'm glad that, and you go to these city council meetings. I was on the Urban Renewal Advisory Committee. We need affordable housing. but nobody wants it in their backyard. They'll rip out a 60 pad mobile home park and display 60 families. Or like you said, Gabe, it's bullshit. It's hypocrisy.
Tenants brought in these really nice RVs. That's affordable housing. They own it. It's very expensive to move a mobile home, right? So they bring in these RVs. They set it up. It's way nicer than what was there before. And the city says there is no RVs allowed, right? And I just find it very interesting because it does solve a problem. It solves affordability. Have you guys come across this at all?
I don't think we've gotten any letters on RVs. I mean, I've heard about this, and I think that what Travis said is true. Is there's some hypocrisy there. I think that the city wants higher tax base, so they probably want to see that redeveloped. I'm guessing. I think they talk out of two sides of their mouth. But in the end, if we want affordable housing, we need to make it legal. Right now, it's illegal in most places. It's not even possible. And you look at like developers, a lot of these single family guys who develop homes, by the time they break ground, they're just several thousands of dollars into the home, and they all have to make a profit. So there's this sort of like concept where it's like, well, the developers and all these real estate people should make housing affordable. And what they don't realize is that there's a ton of red tape, and there's actually a lot of there's a lot of sort of headwinds by the city and the county leadership and state leadership to push against us, including like you're seeing, Gabe. I don't think people want people in RVs, which I don't understand. I mean, I'm in an RV right now, and I've got all the systems. I've got everything I need. We could live in this if we had to. I think RVs actually could be a huge part of our affordable housing solution.
Look at even like our portfolios. We've got several vacant mobile home pads. And if you want to bring in a mobile home, like a new single wide, by the time you buy it, ship it, and, set it, skirt it, put some porches on it. I mean, we're at, what are you, $80,000 to $100,000 in?
That's costly for an average tenant at a mobile home park.
And you have thousands of vacant pads across the country with full utilities, electrical, water, sewer, everything ready to go.
And you got $80,000 for a home, and with a high interest rate, because Fannie, Freddie, there's not agency loans for these people to buy these homes. Or you could put an RV in, like you said.
Somebody already owns, and they own it free and clear, and they're going to go pay $400, $500 a month to live in a nice nice
you
park.
got these neighbors, though. They're like, that's unsightly. But they were at the city council meeting last week, virtue signaling about we need more affordable housing. But they're the ones whispering to the city council members like, that's unsightly. We don't want that. And they're the ones with the money. They're the ones that are paying the property taxes. And so then your city council members or the legislation isn't in their favor. I agree, man. It's a bigger problem. This not in my backyard thing. We need affordable housing, but not in my backyard thing. That's a problem. People should look in the mirror.
We have some long-term tenants there. And, those tenants, they want to be there. They choose to live there. It's affordable housing for them. And it destroys the property as an owner if we have to kick them out. So in that situation, if they're forced to leave, nobody wins. It's bad for the tenants. It's bad for us as owners and investors. So we're going to fight it.
I personally, if I was in that boat, which I've been close to several times in my life, I would rather live in a nice RV in a nice park where there's a playground or there's a gazebo and barbecue pits my kids can play. Like, yeah, I would rather that than live in like a Section 8 box in a box, in the wrong side of town in a tough apartment complex for my kids. Like, I'd rather that.
Well, the other problem, if those RVs can't be in a park, then they end up on the side of the road somewhere, which is actually what a lot of these local governments don't want. Do you think home ownership is still the American dream?
I've read different articles. I mean, some people like move into the inner cities. It's trendy. The young people move in. They're renters. They want to be simple. They're minimalists. They want to be renters. And then there's sort of this exodus, like Portland, the inner city of Portland's just a complete shithole. Right? People have lost big. We know investors that are losing big there, but then people move out to the outer ring and buy homes. So I don't know. I think it's just a moment in time. What's trending now?
Do you think that some people shouldn't own their home? Like
Grant Cardone doesn't own his home.
I know. Yeah. Cardone doesn't own his primary residence, right? So, I mean, is it a trick? Like giving your, 40% of your income to the bank for the next 30 years just to have it paid off?
I think that's shifting. I think the younger generations are starting to feel like, what's the point? Why, especially when it's so expensive to own a home, when I can rent and I can have more mobility and I can move around the country. I don't know, Mitch, what do you think?
Well, I think it depends on who you are. And I think if you say the average person is going to work every day, they're investing their 401k and they're not really not investing in anything else. And so I think for the average person, they look at the house as like, okay, there's this piggy bank. And if I look at, my parents, for example, who own their homes versus other people in their same generation who didn't own their homes, my parents are exponentially more wealthy than the people who did not own their homes over time. So it depends on who you are. My parents also weren't necessarily investing in other things, and neither were their friends. So like, if you just said, look, if you're going to rent this place or own this place for the next 30 years, but you're not going to invest in other real estate, other businesses, other things, and you're going to work your job, then I think that yes, there is a benefit there. There's tax benefits, there's debt pay down, all appreciation ideally. So for your average person, I would say over 30 years, you're ahead. But if you're talking about somebody who's not average and they're out investing in real estate and they're leveraging other people's money, or they're raising capital or using creative debt, I don't really know if it's necessary. And so I just think it depends on who you are.
My mom, school teacher, never made a lot of money, had a pension, but bought a home in an area that's she's a millionaire because of her home, her one home. She's a retired school teacher. But Midwest might be different, where you don't have the appreciation that we've seen in the coastal towns. But I do agree, but if you're looking at us, if we're just looking at the economics of it, it is a liability. It sucks cash out.
Everything always comes back to, gosh, I'm glad I own real estate and I should keep buying real estate.